Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to day 29 of 30 Inks 30 Days. This is Ink Journal's challenge that we use just one ink a day in one pen. Could be the same pen, but I'm using my review pens. So I'm actually making an effort to get the ink each day, even when there's 2 mils, into 3 different pens so that I can show you the different nib sizes, but it's the same color, so I'm trying to stick with the spirit of the challenge. So today the color has a long name and it's sort of confusing. I don't actually have a bottle. I have a little sample, and it was shared by a pen friend, so I had to go online to kind of check out the full name. So it was from Pen Friend BH, and it's the little bottle says Arbonne, not J. Arbonne, but then another bottle said something different. So it does say Encre at the top, and then it says Bleu Pervenche, which is turquoise. So it's very interesting, and the camera's going to give us a little challenge on seeing this color. Yeah, it is, but it always does, so we're going to see them all side by side and hopefully sort things out. But there's just one more place for tomorrow's ink and one little letter S to fill in, and we'll be all complete. So let's see, let's cover yesterday's up. This is the Bond Travel Gear 68 GSM Tomoe River Paper Notebook. Okay, that's a little bit better how it's looking here. Who knows, maybe that white paper is giving us a little help. Who knows? Okay, so I found it available 2 places. I didn't go much further because Goulet pens and Jet pens are 2 of my favorite little places to order. Goulet pens had a 2 mil sample for $1.60 and a 30 mil bottle for $12.95. And then Jet pens had the 30 mil bottle for $12. I wonder if they also had the smaller bottle. Oh, I think they did, but don't quote me because I don't remember. The price is right around, it's less for the 10 mil bottle, but maybe I couldn't find one. Anyway, check that out for you in case it does come in the small bottle. I don't know what gives me the idea that it does. Okay, broad nib. It seemed a little confusing. I guess it was 20 seconds to dry. It was dry at 25, then the cat wanted out, and then it was dry at 20, and then it smeared at 15, so apparently there was another disturbance there. One of those days where I'm juggling some things. Okay, the next one was the 1.5 Goulet stub, and it appeared like it was completely dry at 18, but I tried it again at 15, it was smearing. So that's interesting. I thought it looked super in that stub nib. Oh, boy, did it pop in that nib. Then in the fine nib, smeared at 10. I don't know what happened there. Probably lost count. It was dry at 15. And my first impressions are just very nice. The color and the flow is nice, and I always like these inks. This brand, anything by Arbonne, J. Arbonne, Jacques Herbin, whatever, you know, that's coming from that company, it always seems so good. It dries pretty good too on this Tomoe River paper. These dry times are shorter than some of the other inks we've been seeing. Please disregard this little mess here on the chromatography, but because I don't know what happened, something got on there and it wasn't on there at first. So it's very straightforward. It went right up the strip and then it left a darker blue at the top. But it is kind of a light, gosh, it's really hard. I actually wouldn't call it turquoise. I would call it teal, but it's so light, and it is a confusing ink to me in terms of color. I'll just keep it at that. So let's look at what happened with the water test. And we have a very typical fountain pen ink. It vanished. So all gone. And then yesterday's, which was our more of a blue black. Okay, that one, that was Birmingham Philander C Knox Old Glory Blue, cleaned out like a champ. No problems cleaning that out of the pens. So just wanted to give you that report. Okay, so let's go over and see how this ink did on Rhodia paper in our little notebook, which is almost full. It is right here, and this is Rhodia 80 GSM dot grid paper. I thought it did pretty well on here. until I got to the fine nib, but I don't know what was going on. So here in the broad nib, it looked nice. I was seeing shading. I wasn't seeing heavy shading, and I'm so spoiled by Diamine Aqua Lagoon that it could be that I'm just totally overlooking that shading since it's not what I get from the other ink. 20 seconds it was dry, but yes, there is shading. It's just not quite as drastic as what I may like. In the 1.5 stub, dry at 20 seconds, and then I kept having disturbances with my counting, with my pen, with my cat. Oh, it was funny. I mean, in retrospect. Okay, then in the fine nib, it didn't behave as well on Rhodia as it did on Tomoe River paper. I didn't think, at least in my fine nib Lamy pen. I didn't like it. 15 seconds though, it was dry. I said a little bit dry in the Lamy fine nib. You know, and I always kind of try to check that out to see if it's just me or the pen, but I liked it better on the Tomoe River paper. Okay, this is the CVS Caliber notebook, a little inexpensive notebook, 5x7. And here we go. Oh, I was real unhappy with this paper. Okay, so there was something going on, obviously. I wouldn't have made an X over everything, except for the broad nib. We were doing fine in here. In fact, look at that. That looks really pretty on the on the paper. Let's see if it went through. I don't remember checking. No, it didn't go through either. Okay, so in the broad nib, I had no problems and I liked it. It was still smearing a little at 20 seconds. Just a little, but enough to see it. 25, it seemed to be dry. Then I just was not happy. All of a sudden, you know, whereas it was nice on the Tomoe River paper and on the Rhodia it was okay, in the stub nib, on here, it felt dry. It's a paper. It's a paper ink combination. So I wouldn't recommend, well, I guess if you're using a broad nib that's juicy, like the Serendipity, I had no problems with that. I thought it was odd it was taking so long to dry in that stub, which usually takes just a little bit less time than the broad nib. But anyway, just maybe that was an anomaly, so we don't need to believe it the first time out. And this is just what I have from this limited experience with the ink. Then in the fine nib, I didn't like it. Not on this paper. So looked like maybe about 15 seconds it was almost dry. It just wasn't working out good on the CVS paper, but it didn't go through. I still would only really consider using it in the broad nib on that paper. Okay, I've got one more paper to show you actually. Let's, because I was having a few little glitches, I decided to try it on the Tomoe River Cafe Note as a journal entry, you know, just to give it a little bit of extra tryout, and it was delightful on here. But again, we're back on Tomoe River paper, the thinner 52 GSM. And this is Nanami Paper Company. So I thought it looked nice on here. It flowed really well. I did stay in the broad nib though. I just couldn't bring myself to mess with the others. And nothing more than the usual shadowing on there. So it's just, I guess I'm getting super fussy about paper and paper ink combinations apparently. So I guess we looked at this already. On CVS, no problems. And then on the back of the Rhodia, no problems whatsoever. Just the usual. Not much even shadowing or anything. Let's look on the back of here with that white paper in the middle. Yeah, and that's typical to see through, but it's not going to bother you once you get your writing on this side. Okay, let's look at comparables. I got a few. I got too many actually, but I didn't pull them all out today. I think we've been over and over and over this category of ink so many times with the blue. So let's just do a quick glance here. Ooh, I got dryness today. I think it's the weather. First we're having storms, then we're having hot weather. It's just going back and forth. So right in the middle is our ink, and I couldn't seem to make up my mind whether they wanted the J on the bottle or not. So it's by the Arbonne company, but it's Bleu Pervenche, and it means turquoise right here. So let's see, we did on day 1 Sailor Yuki Akara, and that was much lighter, way lighter. And then there's another one in that same category, the J. Arbonne Blue Callan Q, that I really like. But I believe you can see what I mean about that, where we shift from like blue to a more tealish color. And even with the camera and lighting and everything, you can see that. I thought it would be helpful too to look at the Aqua Lagoon. That's my favorite, one of my absolute favorite inks. Definitely in my top 5. It's a heavy shader, and you can even see that. You could predict that by this water test that I do on this paper here. And then side by side with Diamine Steel Blue. Isn't that steel blue just beautiful? I mean, I'm not trying to put this ink down because this is pretty. It really is. And it's nice for those who like that more subtle color. And it's not actually like faded or difficult to read, except for me it was in the fine nib, but I got interesting eyesight to say the least. And then here's Diamine Marine. They're not really look-alikes, but it's harder to distinguish the difference when you get them side by side like that. They do look a lot alike. And then, okay, this is a good chance to look at how, this was day 24, Diamine Soft Mint. To me, it looks like toothpaste, but, you know, see that there is a difference. There is more of a you know, greenish look to that one. And then we go on the opposite spectrum, right next door here, down on the bottom, Pelikan Edelstein 4001 Turquoise. I just love that line of their inks. They're affordable, they're pretty, they're just really saturated. I like that. And then, of course, I did include Pilot Iroshizuku Kujaku because that's one that's a requested comparison a lot, and I can understand why, too. And it's a lot more saturated. It's darker. And you can see how it looks more like Diamine Steel Blue than it does this turquoise from today. And I just wanted to show you, this is the box of blue. So there's so many blues, and it is hard for me to figure which ones we want to look at each day, but I think this gives us a pretty good idea, helps us kind of anchor it. I did have one more though. Okay, Robert Oster Torquay, and I'm not sure whether Robert Oster Torquay is a popular ink or not, but maybe that will help you as well if you're familiar with this one. There's some interesting similarities, but to me it's closer maybe to the Edelstein, the turquoise. And to me that's what turquoise would be. So I'm surprised this translates, or supposedly, yeah, I'm surprised. No, I did read that on Goulet's website. It's not like something I'm making up. Oh dear. I sound like it really interesting today, but so I'm surprised this translates to that because I just think of turquoise different. But I think that's the case with a lot of these colors. Let's see. Let me just flip through quick and see if there's anything else that we might. I don't think so. I admit the colors are starting to blend together just a tiny bit after this. We're almost to day 30 tomorrow. Oh, here's one. Lamy Crystal Amazonite, but see how much more teal that is. That's just really saturated and dark. Let's see. Well, Midway Blue, that's not really. I was looking for one of the ones that would be really, really popular or well known enough, but I think I in here somewhere is definitely that Noodler's. Well, here's Horizon Blue, but that's just so far. That's our dark blue, regular bright blue, I mean. And if I was lucky, I could put my hands right on the other one, which is Noodler's Bay State Blue, but it just seems to be hiding in here. I think we'll call it good. We know that we're a long way from Bay State Blue with this, so I'm going to put this aside. Okay, let's talk about what I think about the ink, which is greatly influenced by the fact that I have a favorite in this ballpark. But I still like the ink. It's pretty. And I put that, pretty. Diamine Aqua Lagoon is still my favorite. See, that's what happens. We're swayed by what we already know. And I have a bottle, not a full bottle, because I've been going right through that for a couple years now. Saturation, I thought was, you know, about 7. It was good. Even though it's a light ink, it's good. Flow was above average at 6. Shading was below average, but I could see it, and I appreciated it when I saw it. I thought the dry time was really good, and like I said yesterday, I don't know which way to go with that. Does good mean a higher mark, or would that be like a long drying time? So, yeah, we just need to know in our own minds, I guess, what our system is for rating the ink. Sheen, halo, and shimmer. I didn't see any except for, let me grab the little splatter test. There, in terms of sheen, I got this interesting little red sheen that came out on the splatter test, which is probably one of the most fun parts of my day. And believe me, I'm no expert at this, but I will, there's been a request for me to just show how I do it, which is just not something I made up. I watched a video from, I think it was Bleu Pens, but I don't know that I do it just the way they do, because I'm lazy. I just plain draw it up in the syringe and then draw it out of the syringe and then go to the sink because it goes everywhere and just let it go, you know, however, and several different times till I don't have any left. But I'll show you how I do it if I can possibly get a camera angle and lighting decent enough to show you. I'm going to try because it's a lot of fun. It's very therapeutic. But that was the only place I saw any sheen, and we're not talking about in a nib, so I don't really count that as sheen, I guess. Whoops. Let's look at the back. Yeah, it goes through there. So for art, this is 52 GSM. It's a lot thinner. You can get away with a lot more on the 68, but it's expensive too. Overall, I gave it a 7, and I was influenced, though, by the fact that I love Diamine Aqua Lagoon, and it's kind of close to that. It's not exactly, but it's very close. So, okay, so there's my opinion, my half a cent opinion. Okay, let's see what it does when we get to trying the Nick Stewart technique here. Okay. That ready? We got a place, and we can look at yesterday's, which was interesting. I mean, it certainly dried very interestingly. It had a lot of neat effects from the two colors. Noodler's Golden Brown was really amazing on that. And then, of course, our ink of the day yesterday, Birmingham Knox Old Glory Blue. So I've got a half a dozen items that come in handy. Let's pull them over here. Got our ink of the day, and I chose Diamine Red Dragon to play with this color because this is taking the routine humdrum out of it by having two colors, and you guys have mentioned you kind of liked it too. So let's put our water down and get on to it. We're keeping the technique similar, you know, to what I used to do, but just adding another color, which just makes it more fun, I think. Okay, pretty. Let's see where I'm going to want this. If it's better when we just don't think and we just blob the ink on, and then we worry about that later. It really is. What it'll do for you is better than what you can make it do. What is my dysfunction here? Okay. Okay, what I do want to do is get a little bit of my other color on there. And I picked a little bit bigger brush just to work up here. I'm not sure about this because I was trying to figure out how to make purple, and I know what to do, except I don't think I have the right red, so who knows. Didn't I just say that trying to engineer it is not really the way to go? But it's still fun, no matter what. I always enjoy this. I forgot to go ahead and start building in a line here. Oh, I do like the idea of combining. Huh, that's neat up there. Ooh. Whoops, oh, that kind of dominates. It takes over wherever it goes. Ooh, that's neat. Okay, let's see what we can do for the lower part. Sometimes the lower parts are my favorite in the long run of things. Oops, I hit it with the brush. Oh, okay, I really hit it with the brush. Oh, look, it looks like a set of roots or something. Okay, I do like to have watery kind of illusion of water in the front here, so I'm trying that. I should have blue still on the brush. Yeah, there's a little bit. Huh. Oh, this is funny. Woo, okay, that was quick. Oh, I like how that opened up. That is neat. Okay. I get so distracted when I'm doing these. Well, that's not exactly what would make for detail there. Although when it dries, we don't know what we're going to get. I like the top part though. But I think that's it. I think that's good for right now, and I'll come back in and label it once my paper has dried. We have pink coming through just barely, and I think almost a hint of purple. I believe I got the wrong brand of red. Yeah, I think I got a red that wasn't just quite right to end up with the purple I wanted, but that's okay. Okay, so for the final day, which is tomorrow in my world, which is going to be September 30th, we're going to do orange because we're headed toward the orange month, October, pumpkins, fall. And this is Robert Oster Fire on Fire, a really bright orange from Pen Friend NR. I have a nice, beautiful sample of it, so that's what I'll be writing with tomorrow. And I look forward to that. Really do. Now, let's put this band back on, and I'll ask you the question of the day. What did you think of today's ink? Do you have something in that family already that you like? You know, the way I did, where it doesn't actually tempt you, or are you interested in this one? I think it's very pretty. And there are just so many, there's overwhelming amounts of choices, and I think, and especially in blue, or either that or it's just in my world here. I have so much blue. So I'll see you back tomorrow with our final day of 30 Inks 30 Days, but it won't be the end, because then we're going to be moving directly to these inks. See if they'll even fit in it. Yeah, they will. Goulet Pens has sent me samples of these 9 inks. 10 inks. What am I talking about? I was thinking of the Celtic set. So we'll be looking at all of these individually during October. So that'll be the big overall ink goal for October, but I will be returning to a more balanced content where I still do ink, but I really like doing pen allowance and creative ideas and bullet journaling and stuff like that too, because it kind of helps me incorporate why we need all these inks and pens. So I will see you tomorrow with this ink, and I hope you're having a great day, whatever day it is for you. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.